first of all, I want to thank Candy Combs for referring me, and Carol for patiently getting to me and really listening. She wanted me to talk about security, and that's not my main forte. But I want to follow up on, before I even go into, I'm speaking on connecting, and the importance of passwords. I use LastPass. I bet there are many of you that are using the same password to get into a variety of things. Never ever use the same password. Always mix your password, and that's what LastPass does with uppercase and lowercase and numbers. I'm going to suggest at the bottom, everybody should have, and if you don't raise your hand, I've listed a lot of different things. I say easy technology, and you look at this paper I passed out, and it's going to look like,
Anyone need?
that's easy. No, Kim, she has extras over here. Pam, she has extras. So if anybody doesn't have one, at the very bottom, and I very much appreciated the last video, I happened to find these cards. I have some links to a site, and there's Ask Abby Stokes. I saw her at a thing a few years ago, and happened to pick up some extra cards. She has an amazing site, simplifying with videos. If any of you want to know how to do or help people find a password, she has a thing on how to create easy passwords. It's a phenomenal resource, amazing. So the last pastor mentioned, oh, and another thing I think for security that I personally have to do, I haven't looked at the statistics. I don't know how many of you had, you go to pay for something or buy something and you can log in with Facebook. I will never ever log in with Facebook to anything like that. They're giving, it's another way that somebody can be tracking or picking up your password. Always be sure of, your credit card information, everything, and always be sure that you yourself on the passwords, every phone should have a password, and make it easy combination, whatever. There was a thing yesterday, a big thing on Twitter, that somebody was doing his password, everybody's still having to do 000. So, okay, that's it for my thing for security. And I was thinking this morning as I was coming over and preparing, I'm still talking about connection, social connection, and the importance of that, and nobody should be in isolation. And yet there are so many people, I was thinking still, okay, people are living alone, but they have family and friends. There are probably people that you're dealing with that don't even have that. They're all levels, and I don't know, of competency. A lot of what I'll share with you has to do with what I experienced in working with Anne, who was a couple months before 94 years old when I started working with her. And I worked with her once or twice a week for over a year. She died a month after her 95th birthday. An amazing, amazing woman. Really unique in my experience almost, because she was so committed to being connected with her family and friends. She would do no matter what. She had, and I came in sometimes and she said to me, I have 2 master's degrees in journalism and I taught in university, why can't I remember? But she would remember and she would do, and that was that commitment that was so great. Happened to be a very liberal family and very active, and she also wanted to be connected with the outside world. She would go into her lunch, and the table she lived in, she was actually in the rehab, so in one of the facilities. I won't mention names, not that there was anything wrong with it, but people just weren't interested in communication at her dining table. So she would be on her phone looking up the news. And she often was ahead of the news before I was. And I remember coming in one day and she, okay, what did Trump tweet today? And then she'd say, what's Twitter? And we go into that. One of the really important things to keep in mind is that we all think, and so many, oh, you're working with seniors, it's great, and they really need it, etc. But so many of them don't want it. And if you are trying, or you know somebody that's trying to work with a senior, there's a list of things I'll just briefly go through. There might be something that would entice them. I'm now going to back up to where I was going to start. So I've been into the internet and online for about 15, 16 years. My kids wanted me to be connected. I'll be 79 in December. I know I'm working at a higher level than a lot of people with whom you're working, but anything is possible if somebody wants it. And one of the main things that I have and I use for connecting and I'm passionate is Zoom, and I'm going to talk about that for a couple of minutes. How many of you used or are familiar with Zoom? Okay, all things, and thanks. Zoom is a video conferencing services. Okay, so there are different ways, and I have people can connect now. That people commonly are connecting is Skype, FaceTime, on the iPhone, iPad. A lot of people will get their parents an iPhone so that they can connect and see on FaceTime, which is great. There's Snapchat, which is I don't use. The one program that for me is great is Zoom, which I first heard about Zoom when I was on Facebook, and a friend of mine said, I'm dealing with a client sitting in the park on my iPad watching my son using Zoom. It's like, wow. I couldn't wait until she got home to ask her about it. I went online and I found it. That year, my family lives all over the country, and I have a cousin who lives in India. Only 2 minutes? Oh, wow. And I thought I was going to thank you for that. Okay, so we now get on the 25th of December, we get online and we meet on Zoom. You can meet up to 100 people there's no charge for 40 minutes. One person who's the facilitator can join it, can set it up, and it would be $14.95 a month or any one time you use it. So I'll go into any details for anybody that wants any of this information. There's my contact information. I also have a sheet of paper to sign off. And I'll send you information on using Zoom. It's a program you can be using with your clients as far as interacting, showing real estate. If you're showing something local, you can be showing them to family members or people distance-wise. And you can be communicating in that way. You can have the showing at home. Those who are working with caregivers can actually educate a caregiver in how he or she can use Zoom and connect the person with their family to see what's happening, what's going on. Quickly going down the list, there's the different social media. Very much into camera, using the camera. Carol said she has a client who has a hearing problem she has and can use she communicates with her photographs and showing what's going on. Recording. I got into the technology. My husband, who had Parkinson's, so I'm familiar with being a caregiver, when he died 10 years ago, I missed the sound of his voice. I never thought to record it. Somebody says something, you want the kids to know, pull out your phone, record it. You can be recording memories. Grandparents can be doing pictures, putting together slides, all very simply, and shows to be sending to them. I listed email at the very top. There was email, YouTube, text messaging, and face-to-face communication. I say YouTube because any of these recordings or anything that one can be recorded and uploaded very easily to YouTube on an unlisted channel. So it's never searched and it stays private unless you pass the information. Okay, one more thing I want to make sure to mention that's on my list is Senior Learning Network. Senior Learning Network does into assisted living into senior centers and actually has programs. They take people into museums, they're going on a dive trip, and there's also a Generations Learning, generationslearning.com, where an individual can join and get for no fee for that, and get a monthly newsletter and see activities and go into museums and do learning in that way. And that's pretty much it. I didn't make it exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.